This episode of the PTG Show is brought to you by Andrew Lopez Law Professional Corporation, a California injury lawyer, and they are on a mission to get justice for their injury victims. Andrew Lopez Law provides comprehensive services from car accidents to slip and falls and handle a wide range of personal injury cases with expertise. Their recent victories include a $2.6 million jury verdict, a $560,000 settlement against a rideshare company, and with their expert legal representation, you can trust that a dedicated personal injury trial lawyer with years of experience will be fighting for your rights. Andrew Lopez Law is a family-run law firm with free consultations, personalized attention, compassionate support to guide you through every step, a proven track record. They're available 24/7, will work tirelessly to maximize your compensation you deserve, and they work with a no-win, no-fee policy, so you don't pay unless they win your case, which ensures you receive justice without the financial risk. If you're in need of an injury lawyer, then look no further and call Andrew Lopez Law PC at 213-474-1100 for your free consultation. And once again, that number is 213-474-1100. And also follow Andrew Lopez Law on Instagram at Andrew Lopez Law PC. And once again, their Instagram handle is Andrew Lopez Law PC. One last time, that number is 213-474-1100 for Andrew Lopez Law to fight for your injuries. HK Army is proud to sponsor this episode of the Play the Game podcast, and they are excited to announce that the $20 cases of paint will continue into the NXL Chicago event, and this opportunity is open to any teams attending the 2024 NXL Chicago Open. This means that any organization, regardless of sponsorship, can take advantage of shooting Level 5 exclusive HK tournament paintballs for only $20 a case, and the new formula just got done winning back-to-back events for the Texas and Atlantic City NXL events, as Russian Legion was shooting ball-on-ball HK paint to win those events in dominant fashion. You have got to check out this new pink shell yellow fill formula and give it a try for yourself. So what are you waiting for? All you have to do to reserve your paint at the NXL Chicago is email the HK squad at sponsorship@hkarmy.com to get on the list. Do not hesitate, because this paint is going to sell out fast. Head on over to your email and send your message to sponsorship@hkarmy.com right now to get on the list. If you want to ensure that your team dominates at the 2024 NXL Chicago, then shoot the best paint with HK Army and email them now at sponsorship@hkarmy.com. This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community. This episode of Play the Game podcast is brought to you by Dizana Sports Canopy Booths, and we are super excited to announce that PTG will be rocking a custom Dizana booth at all of the WCPPL events, and we cannot wait to see you there. Dizana also has a crazy deal for PTG listeners that allows you to get a 10 by 10 foot canopy and frame for only $700 shipped. Dizana booths use durable 1.6 inch heavy duty aluminum hexagonal frames, are fully coated to provide waterproof protection, use superior fabric construction, and incorporate full color dye sublimation printing. Get your custom canopy today at dizanasports.com and mention you heard about the deal on PTG to take advantage of getting your $700 custom booth right now. Click the custom tab at dizanasports.com and start designing your booth today.
What's going on, PTG Nation? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This episode, we have some major news. We have the president of the NXL, none other than Tom Cole, on to discuss the current state of professional paintball, divisional paintball, and paintball across the world. We also have some major news about fantasy paintball coming to you guys no later than World Cup this year. So Eric Neal joins us to discuss the ins and outs and all the great opportunities for pro players and the industry as a whole. Paintball's in an awesome direction. You guys don't want to miss this episode. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the show.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. Tyler Harmon saved that game.
Came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Welcome, everyone, far and wide. Thank you for joining us for another amazing episode. We got, of course, Marchie. We got the president of the NXL, Tom Cole, joining us today. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on. Always a good time. And for everybody out there, head over to the YouTube. He changed his background. We got a new background there for Tom. Let's go,
got a new background. You guys give me grief every time.
I know, as we said pre-show, this is like, you finally don't have the World Cup 2011 background. This is a big deal.
And you got WNXL love there for sure.
Two of the top WNXL players. We have Alicia and I believe that's Tata, who now plays on the Heroines as well. So yeah, look at those ladies duking it out. Now they are on the same side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, Tommy, women's Team USA.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah.
Yep, they just won over there.
USA people there, so
yeah, love it.
How'd they do in Europe?
With what? With the women's Team USA?
Team USA.
Yeah, they won. Team USA swept.
That's a layup for you. I knew how they did.
Yeah. I know. We did so well that they're trying to find a way not to have us over there.
Everyone wants to keep the Americans out. Everyone wants to keep the Americans out.
Except for all of the fans and all of the people not competing against us. They all want us to be over there.
Yeah. Well, and really, and some of it, some of the discussions about like not having the Americans over every year is also so that would allow at some point in time the Europeans to come to the U.S. to play, or to bring the Nations Cup event to the U.S. Because right now it's been in Europe for the past 10 years or however long it's been, right? So it would be neat, once every 4 years or so to have it in the U.S.
Yeah, actually, Tom, I'm really excited for this episode. We have a lot of really great, not only news to drop, but topics to discuss. That being one of them, I think it's really exciting where the conversation has gone to as far as Nations Cup. Can you share anything about that? I know, UPBF is kind of a different entity than the NXL, of course, but still you're heavily involved. Do we have any news on how they want to kind of modify that? Because I think it's a pretty cool.
Nothing factual. We were just kind of like talking around the water cooler stuff at the event, right? I felt like when we came on board, because it ran pre-NXL, right? The Nations Cup's been around forever, and one of my big pushes to try and make happen was to have everybody play at the same event. Because before they used to do like the men's at the first event and the youth at the next event, and then the women's at the third event, or whatever, however they broke it up. Right. And I just really felt like we were missing something by not having it all at the same event. That atmosphere that happens when all the people and the fans are all rooting for their country. And so that was a big change that we made. And I feel like it's led to some success, not just with the Nations Cup, but also with our event as a whole, right? There's just a lot more people there that are excited to be there. And so,
yeah, real quick, you had, this last one in France, in Dreux, you had a bunch of teams from Brazil, you had a Mexico national team, those teams would not have gone and played the NXL if it weren't for the Nations Cup, I don't think,
Correct. And that and overall, that European event was the largest event that Europe's ever had. So
what do you, like, even including Millennium and
COVID, right? After the COVID year,
largest,
a pretty big hit. So
Tom, real quick, largest NXL event or even back to Millennium days?
Even back to the Millennium. It's the largest European event ever that I know of, right? So
and
I went through the Millennium's numbers too, because Laurent works there. And we beat that event as well.
From a team count perspective or players?
So from both, I think we are 50. I think it was just under 100 people less overall.
Okay.
From the peak, but team count definitely above it.
That's so incredible.
Playing, because the U.S. teams played both events, the Brazil teams played both events, so that did kind of mush it around a little bit. But you could
Still,
really feel
though,
the atmosphere there. It was really a really
Yeah.
good event.
Yeah, 100%. And I know going, Tyler and I have been going to Millennium events or European NXL events for, 15, 20 years now. And it definitely was up there with one of the most exciting ones to be at as far as atmosphere, the amount of people that were there. Back in the day, you'd go to European events and we'd always talk about it here in the US. Like they're just so much more excited about watching games and staying at the field all day. They don't just go and play their 2 games and go home. They want to hang out. It's like kind of their vacation. And this event definitely had that feel. It was really cool and fun to be at the field, watching games, walking through the trade show, being, at the actual event as if that was, some big sporting event. You're there for entertainment. It was good entertainment value.
And the venue helps too, right? It's a good venue. Everything about it's really good. So I'm excited for European paintball, right? That was our mission, was kind of to bring that back up and get that thing going, and I feel pretty good about it.
Love that. Oh, Ty, you're muted, brother.
Sorry about that. It's been amazing. The webcast is phenomenal as well. They do a really good job with everybody hopping on the show and giving a great show for everybody to watch.
Yeah, Black Red Studios. So I know NXL did it a little differently over in Europe. It was kind of whatever local field could provide a stream. You guys kind of gave that to them. Black Red Studios, by far did the best job in my opinion. They really have a good team. Are they going to go to all the events next year? What are your plans for that?
We basically went to all the events this year except for the London event.
Right. So 2 of the 3.
And no, so they went 2 of the 3. So no, we will probably still try and use local providers if we can. It's just more cost effective, right? It's
sure.
Trying to have those guys fly in from wherever is pretty expensive. But they'll probably do 3 of the 4 because we're going to have an amateur event next year.
That's right.
So that's one of the changes. We're adding a 4th event that's amateur only because so far the amateurs can't play Lisbon in the UK for us. They only play Paris. So now we're adding a 2nd event for the amateur guys, which is in Czech Republic.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome to have an event back there. Is it going to be in Prague?
It's just outside of Prague. It's really close to the German border.
Okay.
So you can fly into Nuremberg or you can fly into Prague.
Awesome.
Whew, I had to hop out the car. The car turned off, has the automatic on and off. And for everybody that doesn't know, I'm doing a show from the truck out here in Texas. I'm still here in Texas training and then heading out to obviously Chicago soon. But it was about to get way too hot out here in this Texas heat with this car off.
I don't blame you. You. Well, and here's an interesting stat because we've all been debating about like the effect on like, when the Americans were traveling over. And I think we all know my point of view, which was like, I felt it was really bad for local paintball to have such a dominance of American teams and American players playing on European teams. And we've implemented some stuff to kind of restrict that. And I think we did that 2018, right around that time frame. So in 2018, how many European players from the Millennium or from the NXL for those first couple of years played on an American team in Chicago in 2018?
Well, I don't know, but that wasn't when it was limited. So I know our last year
get limited.
20. It was after COVID. So 2019 was the last year that we were all allowed to go over there. I know that I was playing Golden State Kings over there. They still had, Impact, Red Legion, all Heat.
So 2019, how many Europeans you think played on the American teams? Chicago.
Well, Axel was doing it. Obviously, I don't know what you consider the Red Legion guys.
I don't count the Red Legion guys because they're an American roster guys.
Okay.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah, a couple.
So at this event, we have 4. Right. So you got Axel. We got 4. I can't
remember. Ripple.
Yeah, Clint Moore.
Nick Ripple, Clint Moore, Axel. Who's the 4? Oh, Hugo. Yeah. So not a huge difference, but that part is growing. Like US,
big. I feel like that's a pretty big deal. And I think the coaches from the coaches show were over there. I think they were seeing some talent.
You had like Jason Wheeler as well back in the day. There were definitely players back in the day. But I do think now you're having European pros that are these attackers, and I think Axel really we owe a lot to Axel for this. I think because he's kind of been the first like European mercenary that has really become a household name in the US, you know, again, outside of the Red Legion players, and outside of, back in the day, Joy Division, obviously there's been other household name players, but now as far as like that mercenary come and play for a US team kind of thing, Axel has really been like the leader in that. And it's cool to see, you know, other players follow. Nick Ripple was next. You know, he plays with the Hurricanes.
And then Hugo.
And now Hugo. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Hugo does. You know, he's an up and coming player. He's young too. He's like 20 years old. So he's got a very bright future. And him having the opportunity to come play in the US is massive.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure they're all excited about it.
Yeah, that is going to be really cool, Tom. So how's that all going to work? It's one per team, right? That we'll be able to guest.
I just made that up the past couple of days. Since I got back from Europe, that's been on my mind. And me and Marcelo had a pretty lengthy discussion about the pros and cons of the Americans playing in Europe. So it's been kind of in my mind since then. So I haven't really vetted that at all. You all are the first people hearing about it. So.
Well, yeah. Tell the people what's been going on in your world. You've been on a mission of mercy for the past, few weeks, traveling all around, working really hard. So
we had the Latin American Championships in Brazil.
Phone got stolen. Oh, for the viewers, really quick, because everybody that listens knows Tom Cole was supposed to be on the show. We let the whole community know. Everybody was very excited. Tom had his phone stolen in Brazil and went dark on us, but he had a good reason.
So as soon as I landed in Brazil, I was having breakfast or trying to order breakfast, and the lady asked me to move my table because I had all my stuff. And in the process of moving it, I guess I had left my phone sitting for too long, and I looked it up on my iPad. It was heading down the highway straight to somewhere else.
Your phone
I had to delete it. So I spent the rest of my time in Brazil without a cell phone, which was challenging for sure. So that made me miss that podcast, because when I got back on that Monday, I had to get my phone, a new phone, FedEx to me, and then I had to go to the AT&T store to get it all re-put up.
Well, we're just glad you're okay. We were genuinely, we were like, I hope Tom's all right, man. I know you're on the journey.
The old days of me being able to be missing for a month before anybody noticed are gone now. So I know.
So real quick though, Tom, I do, before we, we're kind of jumping around here, but to round out the UPBF thing, the idea is now essentially to have, we're going to do a Nations Cup next year in Drew, just like we always have. Everyone's invited, but then the year after that, it's going to be every other year.
This is a fact, right? This is all just, like I said, it's just a brainstorm. But so next year we would do it exactly normal, and I believe next year's an odd year, right? So then from then on out, in the even years, we would do basically an America's Cup in the U.S., which would be all the Latin American teams, Canada, Mexico, South America, and North America, right, would play at World Cup. And the Europeans would have their own event. And then in the even events years, then we would do a world event. So it'd be basically every 2 years, because one of the challenges that the UBF face right now is it's really expensive for the Latin American countries to go travel to Europe, whereas it's not as expensive for them to go to Orlando. So this would be a way that, like, every other year, we're basically including everybody, kind of a system. So I kind of like that idea. And then basically, I think then every third year, the UPBF would be at the World Cup, or however often we move it to the World Cup, because they're also getting tired of playing in the same venue and the same ambiance. So it would be neat to bring that energy to the United States for an event.
Yeah.
That part would be tough, playing, because obviously in Europe you have different rules. It's Mercy 5 instead of 6, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it could be like 2 or 3 points difference in each match you play,
Well, in the Nations Cup, we would still play the Nations Cup rules.
Of course, I know, but what I'm saying is that you're putting a lot of stress on the players. There was a lot of players even in this Nations Cup in the European Grand Final that kind of got injured, and we're like, we've played a lot of paintball this weekend. It's kind of a lot to have under one umbrella. And I think with the World Cup, you've got $50,000 grand prize. It's the biggest event in the world. Like, kind of a lot of stress.
And maybe we move it to Chicago. Maybe it's something we play this weekend, right?
Okay.
So that it's on the same time slot. I'm open to that too. Because you're right, World Cup, it's one of the reasons I have concerns about it, is World Cup's going to be maxed out, right? We're going to sell out World Cup this year.
Totally.
Right? There's not even a question.
Yeah.
And
if you're not going to World Cup, get your tickets now. World Cup is the coolest, best event ever. It's amazing. It's my favorite time of the year. Like, the fact that we're already entering the final push of the season, like, something about me just gets happy, I'm not even kidding, Tom. It's like, I talked to my girlfriend, she knows, like, this time of the year is the best time of the year. We go into Chicago, you have that event, and it's pretty much all focused on World Cup, and it's just an amazing time for paintball. It's like, it's the pinnacle of our sport.
Yeah, no, it's and like I said, I think it's going to sell out this year. So judging by our track record, I mean, this season every event's above where we were last year, and World Cup was almost sold out last year. So, yeah, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, Tom, you guys have been crushing it. Every single year it's been growing, exponentially, and we could see once again the biggest paintball event the world has ever seen coming up here at World Cup.
Yeah, I believe that's going to be a fact. And then how we're going to handle that in 2025, I have not figured out yet.
I was going to say, because that venue is pretty much maxed out, right?
It's maxed out. Yes.
Yeah.
It is maxed out.
Well, hey, congrats, man. Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, it's a team effort, right? The whole industry's kind of behind it. So
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And, we just came out of the Olympics. What's it going to take to get paintball into the Olympics? I know that's been something that has been on the forefront of your mind. That's why you created all of these different leagues internationally, having a women's circuit. What would it take to get paintball into the Olympics?
Yeah, we're going to revisit it right this year, right after World Cup. But like right now, we know we're not going to be in the American Olympics. And then the next Olympics is Australia. I talked to someone probably about a month ago. I was pretty down on trying to get the Olympics into Australia because of the gun laws or whatever. But they made a point that there's a lot of exceptions and all that stuff. So we will try again to get into that Olympics. I just don't feel that comfortable. And then I don't know where it's at the four years after that. So
sure.
So yeah, we're probably looking at an 8-year process here to get it into the Olympics.
Yeah,
that would be cool. But to be honest, I mean, yeah, it would be amazing if we had the opportunity to go and become Olympian champions, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessary for our sport to find major success, that there's
yeah, but it would be cool. I mean, that would be amazing if our sport was inducted in there and got to play in there.
Hey, if they could do
definitely
breaking,
be a legitimacy factor. But I talked to the guys at BMX, and when they got into the Olympics, they said it wasn't really a needle mover for them like they thought it was going to be. It did not really affect their grassroots as much as they thought it would. So
yeah, I could see that.
Interesting.
See that.
Yeah,
people want to see like how viable of a career is it, and especially in the U.S., Olympic athletes don't make a ton of money either. It's not like it's a very cool thing. It's a great accomplishment, and I'm sure you find great endorsements and things like that if you build your own brand the right way. But that's kind of in line with what it already means to be a professional paintball player.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys are basically Olympic athletes.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said, Tom.
Exactly. Basically, but I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, I don't know who Flavor Flav had to sponsor a team, right? They had to sponsor the women's volleyball or something.
Yeah.
Shout out to Flavor Flav. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. What's some NXL news we got going on for Chicago? It's right around the corner. Coming into it. What do we got?
I don't know if I have any good news for Chicago. I mean, we're up, right? It's going to be the largest. We're up from last year. And the crazy thing is Chicago is going to be our smallest event this year, right? Fourth event is always one of the smallest events. But this event is larger than any event we had last year, except for World
amazing.
Cup.
Really?
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
It is. Now, again, my question is always from a team count standpoint or from an actual individual player standpoint?
So, both, right? So I won't know the individual player numbers until after the event. So all we got to judge it on is the team count. But if you just look at X-Ball numbers, which is the number we're using in the prelim stuff,
sure,
we're ahead.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. And it looks like we're going to have amazing. I want to put this to rest to everyone saying there's a hurricane coming through, this and that, yada, yada. I'm seeing just amazing weather all week. I don't think that hurricane is going to even get close or touch anything. So put those rumors to
rest. I thought hurricane season was over.
I'm seeing 80 degrees.
It got me all upset. So I went and looked at the weather and it said beautiful the whole time. I'm not saying it's not going to rain, but I mean, it's beautiful here now. It is like you said, getting excited about this is paintball weather to me, right? Like this kind of warm towards the middle of the day, but kind of a little chilly in the morning. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely a hurricane heading towards Texas right now. So everybody be careful out here.
Yeah.
There's one coming up into the Houston area, and we're hoping we're going to be all good for our flights tomorrow.
Yeah. And Tom, the ESPN show, I know that was kind of what we're going to touch on the last one. We have a lot, again, we have a lot to get through on this episode. Huge news with fantasy paintball and some cool stuff coming up, but the ESPN thing, how was the viewership? Have you been in contact with ESPN since? What's their feeling of it? Are they happy? Anything to look forward to in the future? Are you guys doing more with the content? All the above.
ESPN seemed happy. They don't come out and say amazing job, you guys knocked it out of the park, anything, but they did say that we did well. We did really well for the time slot, and they also keep in mind we were up against the Olympics, right? So They knew viewership was going to be down on the Ochos this year, but they felt pretty happy about it. We just set them off the hour-long show, so in the process, we had a 30-minute show is what aired, and then we made an hour-long show, which is really a much better show. It's not just an extra 20 minutes of paintball. It's just a more well-rounded show. You see more of the aftershock points. You see a little bit more of the story, because the front cap's 5 minutes, the end cap's 5 minutes. They got a little story in the middle. It's 5 minutes. That only leaves 7 minutes of real paintball, right? But those in the longer show, those 5-minute caps are the same, and it just extends the amount of paintball.
Awesome.
And so it's a much better show. And so ESPN, I said, do you guys want the hour-long show or do you not? And they said, we want it, but we can't guarantee we're going to air it, but please send it over. So I sent that over to them early this week. I don't even know what day it is, but I think I sent it over to them on Monday. So hopefully they will do some re-airing of the show in the 1 hour show. Because I think in the end we had 5 airings maybe of the show.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
5,
cool.
maybe 7. So we do have an outside company that's tracking our viewership. And it's a little convoluted right now. They're kind of working on it. Nielsen is the company. And because the show aired longer, like the tire wrestling went over, and then so that means that we went over, we asked them to track the show before our show and the show after, right? Because it's really the only way to show how we did. And the numbers are kind of convoluted because they're all across. So they're working on their end to try and fix that and kind of really figure out the numbers. So it's definitely been more challenging on their end than they thought, I think, when they quoted us a price. So they're working on that now. And I don't even know why that happened. But it is funny, though. I'll give an anecdotal story. So we have our outside companies tracking what the value was to us, right? Like how much Major League Paintball generated, in value from that show. And it came across, it was about $600,000, right? Is the advertising value for the placements that we got everywhere. So if someone talked about us on ESPN, anywhere on social media or any podcast or anywhere, it tracks all that, right? So that's a pretty neat number, right? But the funny thing is that when people in paintball make a post that says, what is with, tire wrestling or whatever, right? That gets counted in there as tire wrestling's value. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be positive. So every time because I saw in the post, a lot of people would be like, what's with this tire wrestling? And the tire wrestling was stupid or whatever they said. The Nielsen rating for them is getting tracked. And they're like, yeah, the tire wrestling thing's everywhere. You know what I mean? And a lot of it was our guys talking about tire wrestling. So
of course,
that's how silly it was.
Hey, step in the tire wrestling ring and get some action. That looks crazy.
There's no way they're getting your tall ass in that tire.
No, man.
No way.
Oh, dude. It looks pretty extreme though. That was
pretty extreme. I'd never seen long in his retirement plan.
Oh man. Yeah, and it's just cool to see paintball on television. People have also been saying, well, are they going to be doing Chicago? Are they doing World Cup? So I guess we could put all that to rest. I don't think.
So we won't do anything unless ESPN gives me a 911 call tomorrow. We won't be doing anything until next year. This is really this was the pilot to see what we had in the offseason. We'll be trying to sell the rights now to other people. ESPN has a right of first refusal. So if we go to NBC or ABC or whatever, and they're like, yeah, we want a show, we have to then go back to ESPN and say, hey, are you going to bring us on next year, or we're going to go with Fox or whoever, right?
Yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable in saying we will have a show next year. It's just a matter of what platform we're going to have it on.
Of course.
Outstanding. Nice work, Tommy. There we go.
Yeah, that's amazing. How about venues next year? Is there anything confirmed in the U.S. as far as what some of the venues might be, or did I miss a release? You're looking kind of funny.
Please, no, we did the European stuff. I mean, it's a puzzle of event dates, right? So
we're going back to Texas in May.
Venue, which I'm not going to announce because we're waiting on final approval this week.
So it's not Vegas. Vegas will not be the first event.
It is not going to be Vegas. So we have a brand new venue that we haven't been. Well, I should say a brand new venue. A venue we haven't been to in many years.
What
I'll let
state?
everybody kind of scope that out. Huh?
What state?
I'm not telling you.
What do you mean? Why?
Just because we don't know. And then if that changes, it changes everything. So,
how about this? Is it west of Texas?
Huh?
Is it west of Texas?
Is it west of Texas? It is not west of Texas.
Whew. Okay, first event. East Coast. Damn, just get on those planes, boys. And girls. We got all of it now. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not west of Texas.
Boys and girls.
Okay.
But yeah, in the long run, we're probably going to have to rotate west. So Vegas has become a problem, right? They don't want that park does not want an event of our size anymore. So we can either make the event smaller or we can't go back to that park. And right now, grass is a premium in Nevada. You know what I mean? There's just not fields of grass like it is everywhere else. So we're probably going to have to rotate the West Coast and East Coast every other year as far as that's concerned. That's kind of the plan. I know it's sad for the West Coast guys, but you guys live in a dry state.
Yeah. We do. We went to OKC a long time ago. We're going back there.
Where's it? What? OKC?
Didn't we have a tournament in Oklahoma a long time ago? I feel like we did.
You guys, I didn't. I never went to one. D-Day. I played a scenario in Oklahoma. That's all I remember.
Sure
I think they did Nebraska at some point.
Okay.
PSP
Gosh, Tom, I haven't heard anything about this. You got me too. It's not west of Texas. First event. I'm on my maps right now. I'm like, where could it be? We've been there before. We going to Kansas City? Where are we going?
I guess.
Well, you're just gonna have to wait.
I would say the schedule's probably going to drop in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. I mean, so why can't you share it here? It makes no sense. Come on.
Because then I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it's
because
okay
if the venue
life,
says
Tom.
no, then we're back to the drawing board, right? Of trying to map it all out, right? Because they all got to work together.
Okay. So how about event 2? I think that's probably the biggest one.
Atlantic City.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So, and I'll give everybody the thought process before they kill us, right? So it doesn't matter. Everybody's like that whole like Texas, it's going to rain thing, right? It's going to rain everywhere, right? There's a reason why they say, April showers bring May flowers, right? There's no way to avoid it, right? It doesn't matter where we go, except for Arizona, which someone's going to bring up, or
Southern
like California.
Yep.
But Atlantic City, if you think about it, it's a good sandy soil, and the parking's all paved, and all the walkways are paved.
Yeah, so
it is
we can manage it.
Our best weather venue in the planet. So, so we're trying to put that at the time that we're worried about weather the most.
Okay, I like it. Does that mean Texas would get moved to later in the year then?
Correct.
Okay.
Tentatively, Texas would be September.
Okay. I mean, we were just in Texas this last weekend, and the weather was amazing. Apparently, there's a hurricane heading that way right now, though.
Yeah,
which is funny.
We gave it off. We juked it a little bit, right? So it thinks we're there. Now we're going to bob and weave. We'll be there next year, and it'll rain in Chicago.
Okay, I like it. Hey, honestly, look, the biggest thing is that you guys are taking some action there with that second event, just because it's been enough years now where people have been frustrated. So
I wouldn't.
We might not
the internet again if we went to Texas again and it rained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we're probably gonna get rain. You're right, but at some point, at least people are gonna be happy. They're gonna say, "All right, sweet. We at least tried. We at least tried." Okay.
And Tom, sorry, go ahead, March.
Yeah, and then again, kind of back to the European players playing in the U.S. How is that going to change from the current rule that it is?
We don't know right now. So I'll vet this idea this weekend with our staff and our guys, and then mainly Jason. Right? He's the commissioner. Right? This is just kind of my idea. He hasn't even heard me talk about it yet.
Is there any talks still about not having U.S. pros play at all in Europe?
We haven't spoke since we haven't spoke since me and you had our debate. Right? Okay. So that idea came up, and just so everybody knows, I'm constantly pitching ideas or moves or whatever. And sometimes people kirk out and think it's already happened or it's going to happen or whatever. It's just me testing the water, and that way I can vet the idea and find out there's something I didn't think about. Right.
Of course. Yeah.
And Marcelo made some good counter arguments, right? I never gave in at that point, but when I go home, I think about some of the points you made, and they're valid. So I'll talk to Jason this weekend. We just both got back from Europe on Monday.
Sure.
I swear I had COVID. My wife, she is a medical professional. She thinks I didn't, but regardless, we're not in the best condition when we got back. So we'll talk to Jason this weekend and kind of feel him out. And then we'll talk to the European teams, right? Like, we're not going to make these decisions in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I certainly hope, again, obviously I made my point very clear, but I certainly hope that U.S. pros can still go and play over there, because it's a huge part of the paintball lifestyle and what it means to be a professional paintball player.
I don't know if I pitched you my 3-man compromise, right?
You did.
Something that's
yes. Let's talk about that, actually, Tom. I totally forgot about that. That was an awesome idea that I love. So let's talk about that. And we do have Eric. He's in the back room here, so we can move on to fantasy after. But let's talk about the 3-man real quick, and then get into fantasy.
One of the things we learned a little bit from filming the ESPN show is just and their concerns with what we were doing was it's expensive to film, and there's a lot of bodies, right? And there's a lot going on. It's hard to follow. The more bodies we had, if it was 10-on-10, it would be crazy to follow. 5-on-5 is probably manageable. But we're going to try a pilot at World Cup. We're going to do a 3-on-3 pro exhibition match.
No way.
Which is going to be a 10-minute match as opposed to a 15-minute match. We're going to lock the rosters at 4. And I would like to go with a limited paint. I'm open to debate on how limited that paint is. Maybe we go with an M500 or something along those lines, but I'm open to that, right? But I want to play a 3-on-3 bang, bang, bang kind of match. And potentially one of the things that I like about it is we could then play events in the U.S. and in Europe and allow teams to cross play. So it would give, we'll just use, Reinhold. Reinhold, Dynamite would have the chance if they wanted to come to Chicago and play the 3-man, and Dynasty could then fly over to Paris and play the 3-man. And it would work well with that one player playing everywhere, because theoretically if 4 Dynasty guys went over to play the 3-man, they could then disperse to 4 teams, and the same way vice versa. When the Tauntauns come over, they could disperse to 4 teams. So they're basically getting 2 tournaments in one, and doubling the chances, and we have kind of a new format going on.
I love that so much, Tom. I think 3-man is such a digestible format and super exciting, especially when you get, 3 of your favorite players on a squad versus 3 of your favorite players on another squad. I think you can get some really exciting stuff happening. And for the younger players, we talk about this all the time on the show, is like 3 versus 3 is such a great entry point into the game for the new generation of players who want to get into competitive paintball as well.
Well, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do. So we would be introducing, and this is all tentative, but we would be introducing an entire series based around local parks that's 3-man with the pro being the anchor, the drive, the pull to get people to pull through, right?
Yeah, and that's 3-man and 3-woman too. Everybody is going to be going for it. Yeah,
I don't know what the new term for that would be. 3v3.
Yeah, 3v3
version. 3v3.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And like I said, I think that with having that debut at Cup, I think you can see some really exciting stuff come out of that. And then we have Eric here, who's going to also drop some exciting news. Why don't we bring him into the show here?
Yes, sir. We got Eric Neal, and major things happening with fantasy paintball. Let's bring him on in.
Welcome.
Eric, what's happening, brother?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. How you doing today?
Doing well. Was enjoying the conversation and some of the passion around that 3v3. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is going to be cool. Excited about that. So talk to us about what we got going on. We've got fantasy paintball coming to Chicago. Is that right? And we're going to have some developments happening.
So World Cup is the plan for where we're going to launch it.
Okay.
But we do have, a fantasy game called MLPB Armory. That's built on top of some digital collectibles where all the players have their own card. And if you own the card, you can draft a fantasy team and accrue points and rise up a leaderboard and win some real prizes.
Okay. All right. So let's break this down. This is very interesting stuff. So we're talking about building a whole fantasy league around NFTs, which would then inherently also bring some value, it sounds like, to possibly to the pro league, to players who would be able to disperse those NFT cards. And if you hold those cards, then you have those players on your squad and can use them for your fantasy league. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the cards are linked to live stats that get published from the league. So in real time, when you have that card and you're playing it on your team, your fantasy team will accrue points. And so as an aggregate or the combined, sum of points will be your team score, and that will have a global leaderboard against everybody else playing their own unique teams.
Okay, this is really interesting. So how would this all work for acquiring the cards? How does somebody acquire a card? Is it all through your website or through an NFT type of website? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've custom built a marketplace with MLPB and Tom and the team. And so MLPBarmory.com is the name of the marketplace. You can go check it out.
Awesome.
Right now, there's 2 ways that you can acquire cards. So we're going to be issuing a set of cards to each player. They're going to own a handful of their own cards. And then there's also going to be packs, just like trading card packs, where you're going to be able to redeem 3 random players. So if you want a really specific player, you can go directly to that player. And if they're listing them, they set the price for, it's their card, they can set it. Or you can try your luck at opening a pack and seeing what you get.
Phenomenal. Wow, that sounds really cool, man. I like this. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and so
let's talk. I'm really excited about it.
Let's talk about like the game format a little bit. So, I can buy any card. Let's say it's the start of the season, right? First, beginning of the season, no events have been played. How would you value the players, and how many of each player can someone have? How many can you start? Like what if you have a situation where I buy 5 of the same cards that Tyler buys, right? Like, how do you determine a winner? How does it work exactly?
You want me to field that?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
All right,
Tom and I have gone back and forth about this quite a bit.
Yeah, and we're still tentative on this, and I'm never going to make everybody happy in this whole decision process here. But the way I envision is there's 5 tiers, right? So at the beginning of the year or going into this event, we know who the 5 tiers are, right? And I think, Red Legion's in the number 1 tier and New York Extreme's in the number 5 tier, right? So basically, we're going to have a per event winner and then an overall series winner under this fantasy thing, right? So if I have a New York Extreme play, or I have to play one person from each tier. So I couldn't just have 5 Dynasty guys. I couldn't just have 5 Red Legion guys. I would have to have someone from every tier. And after every event, those tiers are going to change, which is going to mean that people are going to be trading cards and buying different cards and doing different stuff. Because if, let's just say, God forbid, Dynasty does really poorly, I'll pick on Dynasty at Chicago, right? So going into World Cup, they become a tier 5. Their value suddenly went up because they're obviously probably not going to continue in tier 5. So now I'm going to want to pick up a tier 5 guy from them. And New York, let's just say New York brings it out and they win Chicago and now they're tier 1. They might not have the same value, but you know what I mean? So no one's probably going to pick a New York guy unless they believe in New York, right? So as they move around, it changes the value of the players. And it's the easiest way for us to track it. That's my idea, and I'm open to suggestions. But it would stop you from just trying to pick.
Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show.
Pick up the 5 best players, right? Which right now would just be 5 dudes from Red Legion and just playing them the whole time. It's going to come down to how well you know every team.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So you're gonna have tiers 1 through 5, and you have to have 1 player from each tier. That has to be your starting 5.
That's your starting 5.
Now, is the price associated with a player based on the tier, or is it like you said, like say Dynasty's in tier 5, they're still at a tier 1 price, or is it open market?
It's
price whatever.
It's
open
set by the market.
So however much a player is selling their own card for, they can determine that. And then there's set prices for packs, and it's random what you get. So the market will really decide, and people will really start to decide by how much they want to list them for and whether they're playing or they're just collecting.
Oh, wow. And then how many cards of each player will there be?
Right now, we can issue subsequent series of them. We're looking at about 25 to 50 of each player to begin with. And we can do, second, third editions as
so you create
popularity creates.
You create the demand. So it's like if Tyler's cards sell out and I can only get it from one, I'm like, hey, bro, I need a Tyler Harmon card. It's like art. It's like art, it's like, hey, I want that card, and then with that, you also get to play and compete in fantasy.
Well, and
I love the idea.
And that's the joy of like having those things constantly. So let's just say Ryan Greenspan gets cut tomorrow, right? He's a little lippy. He starts getting a lot of penalties. unheard of. And he gets cut from Dynasty because he's too much of a liability, right? And so he goes to play for NRG, right? So in reality, he might be the most valuable player because everybody in that top tier is going to put up a bunch of points. But now Ryan is going to definitely put up a bunch of points playing for NRG because he's in that bottom tier. And
what are the points based on?
The points are based upon your wins, your win-loss. It's basically your win-loss percentage.
Okay.
So the more points you play, the more points they're going to be available for them to win. And every time you win, let's say you accrue 5 points. It doesn't matter how many points you get for a win versus a loss. It's always going to move up, right? It's the same percentage. So
sure. Oh, this is fascinating. This seems like a really cool, unique idea. Yeah.
One of the big things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of force people to be consumers of the game. You know what I mean? To where they're like, I want to know who the guys are on every team so I can make an educated decision, right? Like in fantasy football, you end up researching kickers at some point, right? No one really knows anything about kickers until you play fantasy and you're like, oh, God, that dude's really good. So that's what I'm hoping here. This is going to shuffle everybody around, create some real value for the things. And, of course, every player is selling his own card. So if he drives up his own value and winning a bunch of points or whatever he's doing, then that card's going to become more of a collector's item.
Yeah. So what are you guys thinking? What's like the average that you guys think is going to, because people across the nation and all over the place, they're thinking, how much is this going to cost me, to play this game? So I guess if they just want to get rid of the cards and kind of move them, they're going to set them low. And then if, like you said, if they start doing really well, it drives that value up. But it's going to be curious to see how the market kind of starts to progress as this releases.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've launched the packs to begin with are $30 a pack, and they have 3 cards in them. So just as a baseline starting point, that's kind of where we're starting. And we kind of modeled it with other traditional merchandise and trading cards in general in mind. Yeah. And we'll do some giveaways and have some fun contests to get those things out there. But really excited for fans and the community to take hold of this and see where it goes.
That's what it's all about, man. And if there's any way that PTG can help you guys with, getting the news out, we have our platforms obviously here and then with socials. So please let us know how we can help. And it is very exciting because it creates those relationships. I know, we have the PTG Fantasy Football League going on right now. I'm about to go heads up with Marcelo here this week coming up.
We got each year we, give a nice little championship ring to the winners of the PTG Fantasy League. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Not bad. There we go. That's actually a little better view of it.
There we go. But what it does, and I've always loved football, but I never played fantasy football until we started the PTG community. And it's been one of my favorite things that I've ever done because I love the game of football. Now I'm super into it, watching my particular players, watching games that I wouldn't have normally watched, watching players I wouldn't have normally watched, and really just diving deep into the entire sport. So I think this is going to really help cultivate more connections, more awareness and care for players on every team across the board, trying to have fun and win this fantasy paintball league. That's awesome.
Absolutely. You nailed it. I think for existing fans, it's a whole another level of depth that they can go into and really nerd out on the games and the stats and strategies and picking different players, that strategy angle of it. And then for people who are maybe more casual fans, it provides more activity and engagement between tournaments, where you have that time to have conversations, debate, get into arguments with friends about who you're picking and why. Like there's going to be so many great moments that happen.
I'm in like 5 different group chats around fantasy football. Like I watch teams again, like Tyler said, that I would never watch. It makes me so much more interested in all of the teams, all of the players that without fantasy football, I wouldn't care at all. I probably would turn my TV on, for a couple hours a week to watch football, to watch one game of one team that I follow because I care about that team. But now I care about a lot of players from a lot of different teams. So I'll spend a whole Sunday if I'm ever home watching football from, morning until evening. Then, Monday, same thing. And then during the week, we're talking about football. We're talking about players. This is in my opinion, this is a huge step for paintball. Having fantasy paintball is massive. Obviously, Tyler and I took the leap. We bought a fantasy paintball platform as well. I think there's many different avenues that there could be in fantasy, but I think it's a direction that the sport is missing. It's something that we need to do to be able to capture that time. Like that's what we're doing, right? We're competing with people's time. We're
That's
competing
right,
with what are they interested? Are they interested during the week? You know, did they watch Chicago Sunday finals and then turn Go Sports off and they don't turn it back on until World Cup? That's not what you want. You want people to go back and watch and be studying, saying, "Oh man, look at how Connor Kelly played in that last event. They didn't win a lot of points, but they were close, and it was because of him. I want him. I want him on my team." You know, like these are going to create, you know, lifelong fans and fans that are really engaged, and that's what you want. Is you want engagement. The more time from the fans, the better.
100%.
So, do you guys have Instagram already up and running as well?
We're on Twitter. That's kind of where we focus. That's where a lot of the Web3 community is as well. So we're kind of connected in with there. So we market this the marketplace through a company called Momento, which is the tech company behind all this. So I'm happy to share the handles on this afterwards as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
and then
World Cup is really a pilot for us, right? Like we're doing World Cup.
Yep.
That's going to be our PR thing, kind of make sure everything's working. And then once we kind of vet everything and get all the players so that they understand how it's working, you know, the pros, and then next year will be our big push.
Awesome. Cool. And then Eric, do you have a background in paintball? What's your background here? Are you kind of on the tech side or?
I'm a bit more on tech, sports, and marketing in general. So Tom and I have been connected, I don't know, several years ago now, and he's definitely welcomed me into the sport, and I really appreciate that. And I've had a lot of fun touring and visiting some of the tournaments and seeing y'all play. So I'm a Tadpole fan, but looking to watch more.
Yeah, when I say I've been giving tours to outside people, it's really just him. He's the guy that I'm giving the tour to.
Nice. You gonna be in Chicago?
I'm not going to make it to Chicago this time. I was in Atlantic City, though.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, World Cup, you'll be there for sure. Got to be there. Everyone has to be at World Cup.
Yeah, that's the big debut, man. That's going to be amazing.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome. So, okay. So again, you know, not only is this great for the fans, for engagement, for viewership, for all that, it sounds like it's an amazing opportunity for the pro players in the league as well to monetize this. Can we kind of dive into how pro players are going to be able to benefit from this as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, all the players are going to get copies of their own card that they can sell. And then on top of that, whenever anybody else sells one of their cards, if you get one from a pack and I sell it, there are royalties baked into the NFT so that the player will always get a cut of whatever happens down the road. So if one particular card blows up, like one limited edition one, you know, edition number 1 of your card, somebody wants to really buy that one, sells for thousands, you get a cut of that in perpetuity. So everything goes back to directly benefiting the players when their product moves.
Forever.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. That's
ever. So every time
really
that card
cool.
trades hands, you're going to get a cut.
And what is the percentage on that? The royalty percentage?
It's 5%. So the person who sells it, we want them to get the lion's share because that motivates them to move it and whatnot. And if they have it, it's, you know, their asset. And then 15% is shared between the league, the player, and the platform.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, what a cool concept. And it sounds like, okay, so if there's like a first edition card, it sounds like you guys will kind of, you know, at whatever pace you'd like, reintroduce new cards that are unique and fun. Maybe each season there's got to be a new card.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be like sponsorship updates and things like that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a few opportunities to add different graphic kind of, you know, shiny editions or special kind of graphic treatments if we want. And special jersey editions as well. There's a lot down the road that we can do to customize these things.
What happens if, say, I have a Marcelo Margot card from, you know, 2024 and, you know, it's a Dynasty card and now it's 2026 and Dynasty has changed sponsors or, you know, or Marcelo goes to a different team or something. Can that person that owns that card still use the Marcelo card, or do they need to then acquire a new card with the right team? And you know what I mean? Or is once you get a Marcelo Margot card, can you play that player no matter what?
So right now the players linked to the team. We're still open to working through how that might change down the road if players change teams. There is an opportunity where maybe you could trade it in for the current team, for the current player as well. There's a couple things we can do down the road. Right now, again, we're kind of piloting this as a beta and World Cup. But yeah, we'll definitely have some fun ways to keep people engaged around these things when players move, which is inevitable.
Because
the amount of people that are
theoretically, it's, you use Ollie, right? So Ollie played for Dynasty, then played for Ironman, and then he played for Dynasty, right? So for all you know, that original Dynasty card is the one that's worth all the value, right? Or the Ironman card ends up being worth all the value because I'm a huge Ironman fan. You know what I mean? So
from a collector standpoint, I'm just curious if you would still be able to use it, right? Like if you have
in the
Oliver
fantasy
Lang,
game.
like if you have an Oliver Lang card from 10 years ago, can you be like, well, I still have my Oliver card?
Initially, I would think you could play him in that season, but then the next season you'd have to have the new guy, right? So if right before, like right now, Ryan gets cut at Chicago and he's on NRG for World Cup,
you can still use
be
it.
Able to play that card at World
Got
Cup.
it.
And I think if there's an opportunity where you could trade in your card for a new one, if a lot of people are doing that because they want to play the game with that player again, it gets rid of the cards from that season. So they actually become more scarce. So if you want, know, the Ollie Lang from 2020 or whatever year it is, it might not be active, but everybody else moved on because they wanted to play him next season. Maybe there's only 3 of those from that year as well. So it has this kind of utility that it transfers from being like an active playing card to a commemorative item.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure, like you said, you're going to have some one-of-one cards, like highly collectible, with different graphics and all that kind of good stuff that'll start popping up as well.
Yep, absolutely. We'll add some really great graphics, things that are unique to the players because everybody's got their own personalities and sayings and things like that. So we can have a lot of fun customizing them with the players and hide some of those in packs and give those to fans or players as well to sell off. So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do.
And then kind of a background, how did you get into this realm? Like how did you get your start in all of this?
I started in the advertising world. I run an ad agency that we launched this as a venture out of it and connected with Tom years ago talking about marketing. And we saw this as a marketing opportunity a few years ago when this really came into the scene of just NFTs and Web3. So my background's in branding.
Email I ever received was from them. It was really good.
You got him. Hey, it works, man. And honestly, as we move into the future, these types of realms are going to become more prevalent, and you're going to see the NFTs on your social media sites. You're going to have the Web3 be attached to everything. And who knows, we could be trading these types of things on the socials at some point here in the future as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we're planning on, and I don't know if Tom, if you want to confirm it, I think I kind of mentioned it in the email, but we are going to be having some real prizes that come out of winning in fantasy as well. When if you're at the top of that list on the leaderboard too.
There we go.
Yeah, we haven't really narrowed down what that prize is. Probably have that done this weekend, but yeah, we're trying to make it pretty substantial, right? To make it kind of worthwhile.
What are some ideas being tossed around
here, right?
What are some ideas being tossed around for prizes?
For me, it's like a trip to World Cup, right, with a house or whatever. Might be getting ahead of myself, right? But if you're
going to buy the winner a house,
ticket. Houses in Florida, you know what I mean?
Not anymore.
Not like a real house, a house for the weekend, or maybe a behind the scenes thing, to the World Cup and a signed autographed jersey from, one from each of the teams, whatever we decide to do, right? Or from your team that you drafted that won you there, whatever, something along those lines. Make it real fan centric, right? Because we're really trying to promote fans, right? We just don't want to, win a new car kind of deal. We want them to win, a fan experience with Houston Heat or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what this is all about. That's what this adventure is about, is connecting the people who love paintball with the players and getting more engagement, and hopefully having, people talking to their family about, I got this player and that player in this game coming up. We should all watch the game and see how they do, and hopefully we'll drive more engagement in that way as well.
We want to be in the Thanksgiving conversations debating over the dinner table.
That's it. That's it, man. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Eric, unless there's anything else that you want to leave us with as far as details, we appreciate the information. That's pretty exciting for paintball. I think it's a huge step forward. Thank you for being part of it. And it's, I mean, this is something, again, we've been talking about for a long time. I wish I could play. We probably can't play it. Probably not I think Tom's going to have us sign something that we can't play. But it's exciting. It's really exciting for, we have a full Discord community of PTG listeners that we play fantasy football, and we all talk about fantasy paintball, how cool that would be. So yeah, really exciting stuff.
Yep. Hey, we're going to have to start a new thread in our Discord, for fantasy paintball now.
You already know.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And Eric, thank you. We can't wait to see you at World Cup, and we will stay connected. If you have any news or need anything at all with the help, you let us know, and we'll get to, let everybody know what's going on with your guys' adventure.
This was great. Thanks so much for having me, guys. And yeah, I'll just say check out mlpbarmory.com, and I'll definitely be in touch with you guys. And Tom, you'll be hearing more about this real soon.
Sounds good, bud.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Tom, that is amazing.
Yeah, nice work, dude. He's great.
Give a big shout out to him. We've been working on this for about a year and a half, but he's really pushing it through. They've really invested a lot of time and money into making this happen. And some of their graphics are amazing.
I mean, yeah, I looked at the website. I have it up here in the back page. It looks amazing. Looks great. This is fantastic.
He's one of the many people that really love the Dust Bowl Philly stuff because of the graphics. Like the first pictures I saw was someone diving with the dust coming up, and it just looked epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't already, go check out the website, after the show and give it a look.
I want to spend my money. I want to spend money right now. I want to buy some player card NFTs, Yeah. And if I buy my own, I get a cut.
There you go.
And you get a cut, yes. Well, and that's what's kind of neat, right? It's really the first real license agreement with a player, right?
Yeah.
That we've ever done, right? So that's us moving into, and I'm not going to say that we're experts in that realm, right? So this will be a learning curve for everybody. But
there's going to be people that are upset saying you're selling my likeness, you're doing this, you're doing that. There's going to be some hurdles, but to me, what has been proposed seems incredibly fair. It's something I'm excited about. I don't even know exactly the, legality of that. Like, I assume you have to create some contracts with everybody, right? Or is that
everybody's going to get a contract to get the money back from wherever? I mean, technically we have the rights to your likeness already, right? So all the pros sign that away for Go Sports or whatever. But going into next year, if someone doesn't really like the deal and they want to say, I don't want to be a part of it, that we will probably.
You just won't be in fantasy.
They just won't be in the fantasy, right? They'll get a big black X over their thing. We don't want to support our fans, and they'll go from there.
Yeah. No, I love it, Tom. I think it's fantastic.
So,
All right. Tommy, is there any new rules we can be on the lookout for as we head into the end of the season, or anything going on as we move into next season?
I wouldn't do that to you.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think everybody's pretty happy with the rules. I haven't come up with anything crazy. We'll wait till this weekend. I'm kind of I'm still in European mode where I've been thinking about their stuff.
Dude, the limited paint, I like it. And we have some Discord questions before we let you go. We'll get to that, but limited paint is not bad, Tom.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't hate the limited paint thing. I mean, we have, I don't hate the limited paint thing. It's just tough for the other divisions, right? Because you got people of all different levels playing, and a lot of times shooting a lot of paint is a fun activity.
Well, it doesn't have to be for everybody. This could just be something that we use for the pro division. And even we had Billy Saransky on, and he was a proponent to liking that idea as well. He was saying, you're probably going to shoot just about as much paint because the points are going to get a little bit quicker. You'll run through them a little bit faster. But I think it could be something to look at, and it's been fun. I know, March, you were just over there in Europe with the limited paint, and it adds a certain element to the game that keeps it from having a 11-minute point or a 15-minute point. You know what I'm saying? So there is something to that, because you're building a product and you don't want to have these super crazy long, 9, 10, 11-minute points. It's just not good for the product, in my opinion, to keep that action going. And I think that limited paint could be a big proponent for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But, once again, we got to try it out. We do some exhibitions, give it, test the waters, see what people like, see what they don't like. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to make people upset. We want to have everyone happy, enjoying the game, but also want to make a great product as well at the same time.
I got my woman laughing behind me.
How come?
She hears all my ideas, so she knows more than anybody.
Yeah. Hey, that's myself. The first lady of
paintball, baby.
Yeah. Let's go. So cool.
Right, hit me with the hard questions.
All right. Well, we got, I guess, let's see.
I got one right. Yeah, I got one here from Basically the Worst. Great name, Goat. Longtime listener, PTG, first time asking a question. So, of course, we have to ask it. As paintball has been watched, courtesy of ESPN, do you see paintball companies eventually making their own commercials as we see on Go Sports? I think he means, you know,
so
do you
potentially, they got to put this. I think the value to a paintball company is less. I think so. We did our own commercial, which was like Go Play Paintball. I would think that the industry would be better served by getting together and creating a drink milk commercial, right? Everybody kicks in, $1,000, whatever the number is, right? And it promotes just going to go play paintball. Because, I mean, if you think about it, like an HK is really not going to benefit from an ad because the consumer is really just going to be like, I want to go play paintball. And then it's going to be up to us to kind of like up to each of the different companies to kind of divvy that up a little bit. So I don't think it would really ever be a value for them, but potentially. Someone like a GI, any of the paint guys might do something, right? Because then they could drive people to their parks type of situation. But I think the industry would better serve with a commercial like what we had, which was like a just go play paintball.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was great, man. That really was it hit the heart too. Watching that commercial was like, man, I remember going and when it all first started and how excited I was. So that was a phenomenal commercial that you guys created there.
Yeah, I think we had, I'm going to make up a number. I'm going to say it was 9,000 unique people. Maybe it was 5,000, but it was a pretty substantial number of unique visitors visited our website that day, the Major League Paintball site.
Beautiful.
So that's pretty good, right? That's new visitors that hadn't been there before.
Amazing. That's perfect. All right, we got young Stevie. Shout out to young Stevie holding it down in the Discord. Tom, if you could pick one food vendor that could be at any or every NXL event, who would you choose? Think of it as a no limits question.
I would go with Chick-fil-A. I don't care what the limits are. I like Chick-fil-A. Their only problem is the Sunday thing, but yeah.
Yeah, no food on the best day of paintball.
Well, he said no limits, so I would just get rid of the Sunday thing.
That's true.
Yeah, I'd make the day of worship Monday.
I like it.
Chick-fil-A. All right, he's bringing Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
We got one of the OG goats, Mark Paris. Tom, an email is circulating from the NXL where someone asked about legality of aftermarket ProFlex parts. Is the league actually planning on enforcing what ProFlex parts players can wear? If so, can you clarify those regulations?
So we follow the ASTM as far as that's concerned. So technically anybody that has an aftermarket part for their goggle needs to have it ASTM tested. We will be on the lookout. And so I did receive an email telling me to keep an eye out for that. And we will be keeping an eye out for that. And we probably, the rule states that you have to be ASTM approved to have a goggle. And I believe JT has their own aftermarket stuff coming out so that they would have gone through the ASTM process. And we will check for that at the events. But yeah, I do have concerns of people changing their masks and stuff like that with aftermarket stuff. Like you couldn't just go buy the Acme mask and put it on an HK goggle, right? Because I don't know where that came from. So that's a challenge.
Okay. Well, there you have it. We have Patty Rice. Tom, thank you for all you're doing in the league outside of the NXL and conversations you're a part of for networks. What gets you the most excited about paintball and keeps you passionate about the sport?
So it's funny. I just went to Brazil and I thought of this, right? I went to Brazil and my phone got stolen and I was tired because, we've been traveling a lot. And I was like, why am I doing this? Right. Like we got 12 teams. It's not that big a deal. You know what I mean? It's just a lot. And then you see that team win, you know what I mean? And they won. And then the kids are coming off and one of the dads runs over there and everybody's kind of crying and hugging. And I'm like, that's why we do this, right? It's really seeing those new players get excited. Or even in, in the pro division, when I see a new team make it, I think everybody knows I'm always rooting for the underdog, So when you see someone new in the finals or something, that gets me excited. I really get kind of,
love that.
Emotional about that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. And that never gets old. That is the best. Old. Yeah.
Tom, my last question from the Discord is from CM Harry. He wants to know, Tom, are you guys going to do the summit every year like paintball extravaganza?
So we will be having that discussion this weekend. My gut instinct is we will be doing something like that every other year. It was tough because the award show was pretty epic. And it's hard even in my own mind to realize that was this year, right? So much has happened this year that, it's just tough to remember that, but it was a lot of work and put a lot of strain on our staff. So it's something we're thinking about maybe doing every other year, but I'm talking to the industry this weekend. I'm going to talk to our guys and just see what the attitude is and what the appetite is for an event like that again this year. But to reiterate, it was a lot of work. It's just a lot.
What would you guys do for the award show for, players that do receive the iconic awards this year?
We may do it just at the event. We would do just an award show at the event instead of doing the whole summit thing.
Oh, like in Vegas?
Well, not in Vegas. We would do it wherever the event was.
Yeah.
West of Texas or east of Texas.
East of Texas. Damn it, Tom. You got me in a blender here.
Yeah. So at that mystery location, we could technically do an award show. It's just tough, right? Because Vegas, it's going to be hard to live up to Vegas, right? That was epic.
Right? I mean, you got to be kidding me. That was unreal.
Yeah,
that whole thing was crazy.
And like I said, it's like almost like we forgot about that, right? It was so
everyone still talks about it.
So many things have happened since then, right? So
it was a fun one. You guys hit it out the park with that, Tom. That show in Vegas was like, I will never forget that night. It was an amazing night.
Yeah, no, I was very happy that night.
Yeah, we had Tyler Algier from the Atlanta Falcons there hanging out, and everyone showed out. Everybody in paintball that was there that could go came and made it one of those events that you will never forget.
Yeah, no, it was pretty epic. I was very happy. And it was I was nervous. We had no idea how that was going to turn out. You know what I mean? We didn't know if anybody was going to show up, right? So it was pretty good.
It was a good one. Okay.
It's going to be hard to live up to that again, right? Wherever we go, it's going to be hard to have that, red carpet, VIP type situation. You know what I mean? So we're currently looking for a venue to host that or whatever, and we'll see what the industry's. And it's also going to lose a little bit if the industry isn't there, right? Like the way we had it last time.
Right.
The fields and stores and all that were also there. So we got to do some soul searching to see about making it happen.
Well, I think that even if you're able to just find like a really nice hotel somewhere with a nice banquet hall or some venue that could hold a fair amount of people in a nice space, even if you did something that isn't to that scale, because obviously that was pretty grand, but still having the nice ceremony the way it was held with the awards, it has such a nice taste that it leaves for the end of the year, and just a really professional look to it that adds so much texture to the game as well. And just gives it a lot of respectability, honestly.
I mean, if you just came into the sport this year, like if you were an outside observer and you just started at Vegas and went through this season, you wouldn't know how dysfunctional we view ourselves, right? We had an award show, we had an industry conference, we had a big event in Vegas. We're on ESPN, we got Hertz. You would never know that we're like, everybody's like, why are we not growing this thing? So,
well, we are.
It's been a good year. So
What about doing something? And again, I know the discussion, at least for the awards, was it's too complicated to get everyone's votes in for the winners at World Cup. But I mean, come on, like you should be able to do that. The people that are part of that committee should be able to, after the last game is played, go through and say, okay, here's my vote, submit them really quick, and then later that evening do something in Orlando.
I can give you the real reason. There's multiple reasons, but my core reason is we're just stretched, right? Like we stretched ourselves at Vegas, right, with our staff and stuff. But at World Cup, we're beyond stretched, right? Because we have the same staff for Chicago as we do World Cup, as far as like my core staff, right? There's not two Jasons and two Amis and you know what I mean, two Camille's, you know what I mean? And so at World Cup, we are just destroyed. And to try and say that we're going to add an epic event on Sunday night, just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, hey, we know you're working hard, Tom, and we appreciate it, man. And that goes for everybody that's a part of the NXL and paintball fields and stores and everything that we have going on. Everybody keep working really hard because it's showing, it's paying off, and we're seeing, more people get involved. And obviously we just had ESPN, lots of really good things going on. My last question from the Discord, always a fun one. Shout out to Verbal. I don't think we've asked Tom this question yet. His favorite food and favorite place to eat it.
My favorite food. Yeah, cookies. You know,
and Coca-Cola. Where's that?
Yeah, get that Coca-Cola back up
Yeah,
here.
I just realized.
Coke
realized you
Zero
have
and chocolate chip cookies.
There it is.
I like Cracker Barrel and I like the country ham dinner.
Hey,
Just to let
Cracker
everybody know my
Barrel's
redneck
legit.
heritage. Yeah, I like Cracker Barrel and I like the country ham dinner.
That's a Wrecking Crew favorite right there.
Is it?
Yeah, those boys eat at Cracker Barrel all the time.
I love these Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. Tom, before we let you go, we're done with the Discord questions. My last question again, because we did talk about the 3-on-3, and forgive me if you did bring this up. I don't think we talked about it though. But I remember when we talked about it in France, I thought there was a pretty unique opportunity as far as a prize package for that. You had something unique worked out.
So on the divisional level, so the way we work it on the divisional side, I haven't figured out anything on the pro side yet. That's going to be the complicated part. But on the divisional side, the only way to play World Cup in the 3v3 we would win through a local park. So I'll use Giovanni. We'll give him a shout out. So if SE Village hosts an event, the winner of that event would get a free entry fee and free paint to the World Cup. And we would give away so many berths to the World Cup, and they would have to win them through their local park. So you win the berth, you get to go to World Cup and compete in that. And so if we had 55 berths or whatever, that would be the way to do it. And we'd also be bringing in people from all over the world. So the plan would be that South Africa, Ridwan is running one in his park. Ainsley's running one at his park, that these people are winning these berths and then coming to compete at World Cup. And because the team size is smaller, more of those people would be able to travel.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting stuff, man. Can't wait to see it all.
But on the pro side, there'd be a cash package. And here's a question for everybody, for like a regular recreational player. Do you think winning like a trip for 2 for every player, right? So if it's a 3-man team, you'd win a trip for 6 to Cancun, all inclusive, whatever. So that you could tell maybe your wife or your husband, whoever, your significant other is, that you're playing to win them a trip to Cancun, right? Might make it okay to, do you like that idea, right? Like if you said, hey, honey, if I win this or whatever, in my situation, hey, honey, I'm going to win us a trip to Cancun, all expenses paid. Is that something you'd rather play for as opposed to, $2,500 and a gift certificate?
Oh, I can't speak for everybody because I feel like I always go for the cool, and then you always have the people like, no, just pay me, just give me the cash, But I mean, yeah, playing for a trip to Cancun.
It seems for a recreational player, it'd be a much better kind of gig, right? Like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
And now you're playing, the person that's being left at home, now you're winning something for them as well.
Yeah. That's cool, Tommy.
So, yeah.
I like
amazing stuff.
Right. Yeah, cool ideas, cool stuff. Where you at right now? You're at home. When are you going to Chicago? Don't you need to be there?
Chicago.
You're in Chicago. Oh, you guys are in the hotel?
Chicago.
I thought you were on the field. You're on the field right now.
Yeah, I'm on the field at the WXL, but no, I'm at Chicago. Okay. I've been here since Sunday night. Got
it.
So
how does it look? How's the grass?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The weather, like once you get here in the weather and the sun and all that stuff, it really it's amazing.
Is it humid?
No.
Okay. All right. Look at that. Listen to all the listeners. We're heading to an event with the best weather of the year.
Let's go, baby.
It's not
Tom guarantees it.
The rest of the year so far, but yeah.
Tom guarantees it. Tom guarantees it for this year. Nice. Well, Tom, we're really looking forward to it. We're excited. We get in tomorrow night, so we will see you Thursday.
Yeah. Right. See you soon. Yes, sir. Awesome, and you be safe, and we will see everybody out there in Chicago. Safe travels to everyone going to the event. And Tom, you and the First Lady of Paintball, you have a great night.
Thank you both guys for all you do. Yep.
Yes.
See you soon.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.
Peace. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link in the corner, and support the show. We greatly appreciate it. We have tiers as low as $1.99 a month. That is nothing, guys, and it'll give you access to the Discord where you get access to the players chat and get to mingle with the entire PTG community. We have tons of different pros in there. Tyler and myself are very active, and it's an amazing way to support the show. We also have amazing other tiers. If you want to be one of the best, want to be a GOAT, sign up for the GOAT tier. It's the greatest way to support us, and each month we do a private live stream show, one-on-one kind of thing, to where it's just the GOATs, and Tyler, myself, will bring in some special guests every now and then, but you get to ask us questions in real time, live, on the air, and you get lots of inside juicy news that we don't share on the show. So, as always, we will see you guys very soon.